what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Brothers in Tech is a weekly podcast focused on personal and home technology, helping provide you, our fellow brothers and sisters in tech, with some information, assistance, and recommendations. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to Brothers in Tech here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson, and over here, I'm pointing to my left, but on the screen, it looks like I'm pointing to my right, is my brother, Brian Jackson. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing just well, a lot better than we are in terms of pointing to each other. I can tell you that. So I'm doing much better. We're getting practice. We're doing it
right
every
down pat.
time. But
I think we've got that down pat. Actually, we have mastered that. Maybe not anything else we've talked about in this show, but we have mastered the pointing our heads in the right direction on the video screen here. So Brian is my real life brother, in case anybody has not figured that out. And we call this show Brothers in Tech just because it gives us a chance to get together and talk technology. Seriously, Brian, this is every week. This is the time I talk to you now. So
this is it. Yep. I know we say this all the time that maybe it's a little shtick that we have, that this is the only time we talk, but no, this truly is the only time we talk. Well, and the long amount of time you and I get together prior to, the recording or the live show to prep for this, that including the show itself. And people wonder, what about afterwards? What about when you're done, right? Do you keep talking about things? Nope. Once we're done, it's, see you later. See you next week. So it's a great relationship. It really is. I think it keeps us talking. We certainly talk a lot more now than we used to before we started this podcast. So
that is true. That is true. Yeah. And we just kind of figured we were going to be talking this kind of technology talk anyway. We might as well bring people in and let them listen and chime along if they'd like. And because our interests are a little more in the family or personal technology, things you use in your home, things you use in your digital lifestyle, kind of your own personal technology needs. That's really where we enjoy talking about and exploring new ways to use technology in your personal life. So that's what we get together and we talk about. And like I said, it's very much what we've always talked about when we get together. We just figured let's go ahead and hit the record button and put it out for everybody else to see it as well. Last couple of weeks we've talked about some interesting topics. I think we talked about what was one we did last week? I'm already drawing a blank. What did we talk about last week, Brian? Websites. We talked about making websites.
Yes.
Kind of more personal.
You talked about developing websites. Yeah. And I pretty much didn't contribute whatsoever. So yeah, we did. We at least had an episode about developing websites, and that was more of the Brother in Tech episode, but which was good.
Which was fine. I thought it was a brilliant episode. I'm
sure you did.
I thought it went extremely well. Probably could not have gone any better.
Well, and I can't argue because I wasn't listening half the time. So I can't really argue how it went.
Other weeks we've talked about the Apple Watch. We've kind of given a little status update on that. I think we talked about, there's been a lot of other topics, but
yeah, we had the Apple announcements. We had,
yes,
we had a lot of those. Yeah, a lot of fun things. Yeah.
So the reason I preface with all that is to say that that's not what we're going to do tonight. Tonight we're doing, we try to every few weeks, probably once a month or so, we get together and we do a special episode we call our Brothers in Tech Suggestions, because Brian and I like to recommend things to one another and try to see if we can get the other person to spend some money or subscribe to or download or whatever it may be, whatever it is we're recommending to each other. And we kind of have a little one-upmanship to see who might have the best recommendation, the best Brothers in Tech suggestion. And it is the BITS is what we call them. That's the BITS, Brothers in Tech Suggestions. Very cleverly thought of by Mr. Brian Jackson.
Yes, it was. It really
nice
was.
touch. So we've both got two things that we want to recommend. And again, we're just going to kind of go back and forth between the two of us. A piece of technology, it can be an app, it can be a gadget, it can be a tool, it can be a website, anything goes. Something digital that we feel like, or that we have had some experience with, or we're using, that we want to recommend. Brian, I'm going to go ahead and concede the evening to you a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have the best picks.
That's great. Mm-hmm.
I don't have the best suggestions this month. So I'm very happy.
This is going to be a fairly normal bits episode, is what you're saying. That yours are not going to be very good, and mine are going to be great. Is that where we're getting to?
Sure. I mean, I do think that's where I'm letting you know already that there's no competition here. I think mine are a little on the rougher side, so we will see how it turns out. But I'm not super proud of my suggestions, but I think they're still good ones. Just not to the top tier caliber I normally try to bring to the show every month.
So Alan, you're the podcast person, right? You do this all the time, right? You do tons of these shows. You host several. I don't obviously know nearly as much as you, but normally I would think telling the people at the very beginning that this is not going to be a good show is probably not the best strategy. But I think you probably have to have a lot of listeners for that to really matter. So Is that what you're going for? Is you're just pretty much assuming that, the people that are here are really going to, they're committed no matter how bad our picks are going to be today?
I'm taking a different strategy. I found that on the internet, if you show something to be bad, or you talk about how bad something is or how bad a fail something is, it actually gets a lot more views and likes than saying it is good. If I go ahead and say, like, the headline on this episode is going to be Alan's momentous Brothers in Tech Suggestions fail. Like, fail is going to be in capital letters, FAIL. That's actually going to get a lot more downloads and views than us saying the best Brothers in Tech Suggestions ever. People love the negative. They love the bad. They love the seeing things fall flat on their face. And that's what I think my suggestions are going to do tonight. So
that sounds great. But if that really was true, I would think we'd have a lot more listeners now.
Well, that's what I'm trying. This is a new strategy right now. Well,
no, I'm saying we've been doing that strategy for a while, Alan.
Brian, we've never
we've been bad on this podcast for a while.
But we've never said that in the title or in the description, the way we market the episode. I'm saying we market it as, this is a really bad episode. This is a fail episode. This did not go well at all.
I'm going to try that. I'll write the show notes tonight, and I'll even just start it out with, boy, you're not going to want to listen to this one at all.
That's right. That's what you do.
Hey, we'll give a shot. We'll see what happens. See if it has
you would be
downloads.
insane to listen to this episode because it fails so badly. I tell you, it's going to be the biggest downloaded episode we've ever had.
Yeah, it's going to be Bitus episode, the Brothers in Tech unsuccessful suggestions episode or something. Yeah. We could come up with another,
you work on that acronym. You're not quite there yet. Keep working on it. You'll come up with something. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get my first one out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and go first, if that's okay.
Sounds
tonight's
good.
Brothers in Tech Suggestions. Okay. Let me set this up a little bit. So we've talked about Apple News in the past as a service I believe both of us still use. I know I do. I think maybe you do not anymore, but you did for a short period of time.
I did. Yep. Okay. I did have it for a bit, but I don't anymore.
I like Apple News. And for those not familiar, Apple News is basically an aggregator of different news sources where you can go in, and if you have an account with Apple News or part of a subscription and you're on an iOS device like an iPhone or iPad or even a Mac, you can use Apple News, and basically you pick the categories and topics that you're the most interested in. You can pick specific publications you want to subscribe to. So then when you open up Apple News, you've got a nice array of different articles from those different publications or websites that you subscribe to. It's great. I like it a lot. And there's other services. I know Google kind of lets you do the same thing. You can kind of customize a Google News page. Even Microsoft, I think you can go in and really kind of fine tune their news searches a little bit for either a homepage on your browser or some other app. But, Brian, there's a lot of websites that I like to read that are not in Apple News. Shock of all shocks, Apple is a little bit still a walled garden in terms of the news sources that they let you choose from. There's a lot of news sources on there, but there's not all the news sources. So there may be a lot of websites, blogs, other news sources that I like to go and frequent quite often that are not in Apple News. So I may go to Apple News for my bigger headline news, my bigger publications, news organizations. But when it comes to like blogs or a smaller organization news sites, I don't really have a good source. Basically, I go through my web browser and I just go hit each of those websites and I'm reading the news on the website directly. So these tools, these pieces of software I'm going to talk about have been around for a very long time. They're basically called news readers. They are like the idea that you could basically link them up to any number of websites that have a news blog or a news feed, and you can subscribe to them and have them bring all of these articles down into one place for you. So when you open it up, you're seeing the newest articles from all of your news sources that you specifically selected and chose. There's a lot of these apps. I'm going to talk about one that I'm using right now that I like quite a bit. One of the reasons I like it is because it's part of the Setapp subscription service, which I use for software still. And it is one that you can get for free if you have a Setapp subscription you're paying for. Even if not, you can obviously buy the app, but this is called News Explorer. It is an app for the Mac, and it will also work on your iOS devices, even has an Apple Watch app to use as well. And the way it works just like any other newsreader that you can get. The idea is that you can basically go in and tell it what websites you want to be pulling news articles from. And you can either do it manually or automatically, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And basically you can go in and choose all the news sources and websites you want to be seeing news from. And then it's going to bring them every time you open the app. It's going to bring the newest articles in and show it to you in a nice news format. So you can read all the news articles you want to. One thing that kind of makes this a little nicer as you step above like an Apple News is that you can also put your different news sources into different categories. So I can have like a category for sports news. You know, if I really want to follow all the articles having to do with NCAA college basketball, I can choose a lot of news sources that are within that category, and I can group them all in a NCAA basketball folder. So I can go to that folder and just read all the articles mixed together from all my different news sources in that category. Then if I want to go over to film news, I can go click on the film news folder and see all the news that's been aggregated for me on film. I like that because sometimes, Apple News just kind of throws everything at you at one time. I like the idea of saying, you know what, I just kind of want to read about this topic for a while, or I just want to read my group of sources on this particular category. So it's really nice for doing that. It also is great for reading, and that when you actually pull up the article to read, you can choose to go into kind of a reader mode, kind of like you do in Safari, where you can choose a view that doesn't have the images or anything in there. So you just see like a much, much cleaner view of the article if you choose to read it that way. It syncs all your articles that you've read across all your devices. So if you have News Explorer on your Mac and on your iPhone and on your iPad, once you've read it in one place, it shows as read in another, and vice versa. One thing they added not too long ago that I really do like is they've also added where you can include, let me scroll on down and get to it. Oh, where'd it go? It's down here somewhere. It lets you add, maybe I skipped it. It lets you add Twitter feeds also into your news feed. So let's say if there's a Twitter source, a Twitter feed that you really like in a particular category, or maybe a trending hashtag that you want to include and you want to follow any post that comes out with that hashtag included, you can actually mix your Twitter feed in with your news feeds. So it was on here somewhere. Let's see where that is.
I can't wait.
Figures. They probably just removed it from the product and went live. That's probably what happened. No.
Well, let's see. It says down there where, get from anywhere.
There
you go.
Get your news from anywhere. Supports not only RSS, RDF, all these other jargons that you don't really need to understand or worry about. Just know these are all different website formats for delivering news and blog content. But you can also include Twitter news feeds. So I can subscribe to certain accounts on Twitter, certain search terms on Twitter, list feeds, or hashtag feeds. So if there's like a particular hashtag that's going on in the news, and I say, look, I just want you to pull any Twitter article that's posted up with that hashtag included, it will now mix it in with my news on my News Explorer account, which is nice. So I just love the customization. I love knowing that I can really get very, very specific with how I want to organize this. Let me actually show you, Brian, what this looks like. If I can do that, let me see if I can show another screen here. I've actually got the application pulled up.
Mac Mailish, right? It looks very Mac Mailish, right?
Yes, it does.
The setup.
It's not the most glamorous looking app, which I'm okay with because I really just want to read. I don't want a lot of distraction. This is the app. I can go in, I can see on the left-hand side, I've already subscribed on this sample to looks like about 9 different news sources I've got. I've got them grouped into 3 categories. I've got a movies category. So this is showing me 4 different news websites that I follow in the movies category. So now I can see all the articles and I can just choose any of them I want to and read it. Once I've read it, it shows as read. It's kind of grays it out to let me know I've read it already. If I want to go in here and open this up, I can actually go in and see it, what it actually looks like on its website. If I want to see an actual web version of it.
Nice.
Or again, I can just go back to seeing it instead kind of in the nicely formatted version that News Explorer shows it to me like in a reader view. So it keeps up with all that. And then I can flip over to my other categories and see my Mac list. I can go into one specific news source. I just want to read from Mac Rumors right now, and I can see all the news articles coming up. So here was one that was done at just 5 hours ago. Here was one 6 hours ago. So showing you from the newest to the oldest sorted down. And again, I can just look at them and read them. It saves me from having to go to all the websites to read these articles. Plus, it just gives me a nice overall reading experience to look at. And adding new news sources is really easy. And again, what I'm showing you in this app is not a lot of this is very unique to News Explorer. Any news app you get that allows you to add your own content will have these same kind of features for the most part.
Yeah.
But if I go into
there's a star up there. Is that a way to save that particular
It is.
article?
If I click the save, it makes it a favorite. And then I've got a favorites tab over here on the left-hand side. And I can actually see my favorites. So if there's an article I stumble across, hey, I really want to keep that and I want to really dig into that one later, I can favorite it and come back to it later. But if I wanted to add a new one, it's really pretty easy. There's a plus button down the bottom. I don't think you can see it. The screen sharing is not showing pop-up windows, but allows me to, it's not showing the windows, unfortunately. But it basically lets me pop up and it actually lets me type in a search box topics I'm looking for. And it will show me a lot of websites already indexed that I could just click on and say, yes, I want to follow that one. Yes, I want to follow that one. But if there's a website that's not coming up in that automatic search, all you have to do is go to the website that has a news page and copy the address of that website. And then when you come to News Explorer, say you want to add one manually, paste in that address, and it will automatically subscribe to that news feed from that site and include it in with your news items. So,
nice.
So it's like Apple News. It's like Google News and Microsoft, all these other major news sources that aggregate news together. I just like taking it an extra level and knowing that I can really get very, very customized with what sources I want to look at. And I love the idea of having them grouped into categories. So I don't feel like I'm just bouncing all over the place on different things I'm reading at one time. So,
yeah. That's good.
So that is News Explorer. Again, it's for the Mac, and you can get a iPhone and iPad version for it. And you can even get download the Apple Watch app that comes along with it. And it will prompt you on some of your latest news. You can actually see the headlines on your watch. And it's kind of nice to have all of it connected across all your different devices and keep on top of the news that you're really interested in seeing.
So, Alan, do you know what's the price for someone who doesn't have Senaptec? Do you know?
That's a good question. Let me bring that up here and I'll show you that really quick. Looks like the price for News Explorer as an app is $9.99. That's on the Mac. It's a one-time license, so you get it and you own it. Okay. It is available in the SetApp subscription. So if you're a monthly subscriber to SetApp, you get it for free. Now, the mobile version of it, you do have to buy separately. I think it was $4 to get the mobile, but that works on iOS, that works on iPhone or iPad, both. You get one version; it'll work on both.
Does the watch come with that one? I'm assuming.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the watch is a separate purchase. So really, you're looking at $14 if you want to have this entire news platform across all your devices. But it's one time. It's not a subscription. You don't have to worry about redoing it every year. That's just what we got. So
very cool.
I'm a fan of it. It's by Beta Magic is the name of the company. BETAMAGIC. And that's where they sell News Explorer. They have some other apps as well. I'm not familiar with their other work, but Beta Magic is the company. News Explorer is the app I'm suggesting and recommending. Yep, it's cool.
Well, talk about under, what was the saying? Under
promise, over deliver.
Yeah, you completely over delivered there from what I
see what I did. See what I did. I teased that it was going to be bad.
Yeah, and I tell you, if anybody had stuck around at this point, they were in for a surprise there. So very nice.
I agree. Yeah. This is marketing right here, Brian.
You're a thinker. Yep.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and talk to us about your first pick?
Well, okay. So I've got so I need a little bit of kind of backstory to this one, because this isn't something I would have just bought just for the heck of it. I think we've talked about before that, my wife and I got back into vinyl a few years ago, as I think everybody did, right? All the hipsters tended to do. And so we love listening to our record player. And Alan, you came to our old house, which had built-in speakers, and we had a receiver, and it was fun to play records that way. Well, in our newer house that we're in now, there is no built-in speakers anywhere. We got rid of our receiver because we didn't want this big bulky receiver, had to happen to be able to play that way. We've been using a Sonos player, which is throughout our house, which is just wireless speakers for those that don't know. So therefore, there was no need for a receiver, no need for any of that. We did have an old, a small Bose stereo. I think, Alan, you've had the same one a long time ago, a little tiny speaker. So we were using that for our record player, which is great, right? It's simple. If we wanted to play records, we could pump it through the Bose, which was just in one place. But so what happened recently is we ended up finding a cabinet, an old cabinet on Craigslist, which of course a used cabinet. I think it was from maybe the 60s that had been remade. It was just a cabinet, a kind of like a TV stand cabinet. Had two drawers in it, and the drawers were the size for records, and there's a middle area for a record player. And when we saw it online, we were like, oh, that looks really, really cool. It'd be a great place for our record player. So we decided to go for that instead of the old cabinet that we had. Well, when we reached out to the lady, she's like, yep, I got it. I just, repainted it. If you'd like it. And by the way, if you'd also like the speaker thrown into it as well. And I said, whoa, what? And she said, oh yeah, the bottom mesh part is where there was speakers built in, so that this radio or this record player cabinet, you could wire in your record player to the speaker, and it would be an all-in-one, cabinet, right? The old stereo cabinets that had the speaker built into it. So I was super excited. I was like, yeah, throw in the speakers, right? And then of course I got this idea. I need to get that working again, right? And it was, two speakers, or at least two parts of a speaker, a tweeter and a regular speaker that I'm having to rewire back together. So anyway, that's all being said, that I really, really was excited about putting the record player on this old speaker cabinet so that it would sound, like it originally should have. But then I'd gotten rid of my receiver, and I had no interest in going to buy a new receiver. It makes no sense. We only use records for random times, and we're not pumping in through the Sonos system. Although if I wanted to do that, I could. It costs maybe $500 or something to get it to pump into your system. So anyway, I wanted to rewire this, get this thing going, but needed a receiver. But I have no interest in one of these big receivers. So Alan, if you'll go ahead and pull this up. So I went looking for the smallest receiver I could find to be able to run this cabinet. And so I ended up buying, and here's the thing, I had no idea that you could get receivers this inexpensive.
$30.
So there's a $30 receiver, and it's tiny. And the reason I got something tiny is because I wanted this hidden back in the cabinet, so you don't see it anywhere. I just wanted to be able to kind of reach in and turn the volume up and have the record player going through that. Now, for those who know, record players will need a preamp, okay, which we had already, right? So going from the record player to the preamp to kind of boost the signal, and then it needs a receiver. And I ended up buying this one off of Amazon. Now, complete honesty here, I have not gotten that cabinet working yet. I still have to, I've got a friend who's helping me create the, the crossover, which is what, from the receiver, you have to have some wiring that tells it how much power is going to go to the tweeter, how much power is going to go to the big, because it's basically two parts of a big speaker. So I've got that part that my friend and I are going to kind of build together. But I still needed this. So I did hook this up just to make sure it works. I put a couple of regular speakers. And by the way, the reason you need a receiver is when you don't have powered speakers, just for everybody to know. The old speakers that were not powered, speakers people had, they just have a speaker wire. They don't have any power to them. So you need a receiver that can take an input like from a record player or from a tape deck or from a CD player, put it in there and be the power to then send the signal out to the speakers, to the dumb speakers, I guess they are, right? So I bought this. And by the way, Alan, if you want to come off of that for a second, I'll actually show you a live little look here. So here it is, right? You can see the size of it. Okay, really small.
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
Hold on, I'll get this.
There we go.
All right.
So as you can see, super small. But it looks nice. But I also wanted it to look nice enough that if I wanted it to be part of the cabinet, screw it in or something, that it would look a little older, with the silver look. Sure. But it's nice in that it's very simple. It's got volume and it's got a bass and a treble dial. And it is two speaker input. So you could have a left and right speaker. Now I only have one because it's two parts to the same speaker, right? The tweeter and the bass.
So, but as far as inputs go, I mean, it's really just
one input.
One input. So you're bringing in
actually one input, one of two types, right? You could either do the 3.5, the 3.5 here, or the
you got the RCA or the RCA or the was it quarter inch or 3/4 inch?
3.5 millimeters. Is that what it is? The 3.5.
The little mini plug.
Yeah, the mini plug.
Yeah,
right? The headphone jack. So basically, this is, and it's it's not very high powered, right? You can see here, or you see on the screen there. I think it's, what is this? 2-channel output power amplifier, 20 watt. Right? It's not that powerful, but for one speaker that I was going to be using, it's going to be enough, I think, to do what we needed to do. And I just thought it was super cool to be able to get something like this for that particular device and not have to go buy a major receiver. That's what I was worried I was going to have to do. Okay, buy a big, a couple $100 receiver in order to just run this old speaker cabinet. Yeah. I recommend it. It works well. So I plugged it into a couple of random speakers that I had, some outdoor speakers. Ended up putting an input from the record player. Played just fine. Gave it enough boost, allowed me to change the bass and treble. So
let me, if I could just kind of sum up what this recommendation is. So if you are trying to retrofit an old stereo cabinet and you have a turntable and you have a preamp, but you don't have a stereo receiver, and you don't want to buy a standard big receiver that does any more than just a single input, then this is the box for you.
If you went down all the way down to that web at the decision tree,
Brian still can't test to the fact whether it will solve his whole thing or not. This is the recommendation.
Eventually it will.
Let me put it another way. If you've got $32 to burn and you think, maybe one day I may need to do these things, I'm just going to go ahead and jump on this and get one now.
Okay. Well, let me give you another. Let me give you another possible use case. Right.
Okay. All right.
So let's say you have some of those older speakers that you have yet to get rid of because you needed your big system. So I was also thinking to myself, okay, I've got 2 outdoor speakers that I had at my old house. They're dumb speakers, right? They actually need a receiver. Well, to be able to put this outdoors, put this somewhere, and then in the back you've got the input. Well, I could actually go and plug anything in. I could plug a phone in and run my phone through it. And
now we're talking, Brian. So
you got dumb
great.
speakers.
That's good.
And you need something to run it. There you go.
Because if you had a stereo system back 20 years ago, you've probably, at least I'm speaking for myself, I've still got like 6 of these old dumb speakers in my house. And they really are, when we say dumb speakers, like Brian said earlier, they don't have a power cable. They just have the red and black little thin speaker cable on the back. Kind of like you have to press the crimps and push the cable in and close it up. Yet those will not work unless you have some sort of receiver amplifier to power them.
Power it. Yeah.
So if you wanted to have a nice speaker setup where you just plug your phone into something, or your laptop or whatever it may be, or your iPad, this receiver will do the trick then. Because all you need is one input to go out to these 2 speakers and boom, you've got a nice little, like you said, outdoor setup. You got a private listening room setup, whatever it may be. Very easy to do.
I mean, say you had a couple of, bookshelf speakers, and of course everybody now is like, oh, I'll buy Wi-Fi speakers and I'll send my phone to that and everything. And sure, you could do that. You could buy a brand new speaker, but if you've got the dumb speakers, the speakers themselves are good, right? I mean, if you've got good speakers, the sound is going to be great. The question is, what can you run it with, right? And do you want this big system anymore? I also think this is kind of smart because given that you maybe think, well, it's only got one input, and that's why you need the big ones, because you need multiple input. But these days, all you need is one input, right? If you had your phone, even if it wasn't Bluetooth, let's say that you had your phone kind of hooked in, wired into it to just play. You've got everything there, right? The question is, do you have dumb speakers that you want to use? So I was pretty happy the fact that I could get something cheap for my solution. But also, hopefully if someone's got they love their dumb speakers that they have. They love the fact that the sound comes from them. And they just need something to play it without, having this monster receiver around.
No, that's great. So, okay, Brian, you've redeemed yourself. That's
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. I had to talk my way out of that one.
I had to walk you down a path to get you to where you see.
You led me, oh shepherd.
I did.
Right.
I did that. You're welcome.
Let's call it that.
Oh, let's zoom back a little bit. There we go.
Okay, please. Yeah.
Okay, so good, Brian. So,
all right.
I'm sorry. Who was the manufacturer on that again?
So this is LEPY.
Okay.
Now, as I was reading through this, it looks like this is also kind of a knockoff of another company that makes one exactly the same, still the same price. I mean, it's 30 or 40 bucks. That's another one that's like LEPAI or something to that effect. They look very similar. But the reviews I read on both of them is that, hey, this is not the most powerful thing. It's not the greatest thing, but it does exactly what it's supposed to do for the small foot space. So,
well, exactly. That's the thing, is that you don't need the most powerful thing in the world if you're just trying to power sound in a room, somewhere. So, absolutely. Right. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So Brian's little mini receiver, about $30 to $40.
Yep.
If you have a single purpose audio source that you're trying to get to some of those old style speakers, it's a good setup to do that. So perfect, without having to spend a couple $100 on a big receiver to use on it. So
there we go.
All right, Brian. Well, I'm gonna recommend something that honestly, I have had this device for at least 10 years now. Piece of technology that I've been using,
aren't you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Piece of hardware I've used for over 10 years. That's kind of a rarity. So I thought maybe it's worthwhile to at least mention what it is. And the reason I'm going to recommend it.
Are you putting like your microwave? Do you just walk around and find out what
you open the door on this thing? Let me just talk you through this. You put food in, typically cold. You hit a button, you put in some time, you press the start button.
It start. Oh, yeah.
It heats it all within the box without you having to no heats coming out. It's amazing. So it's a microwave, That is my recommendation for today. Brian?
People come to Brothers in Tech for the future. And there you go. All right.
Well, now let me, in all seriousness, I'll share mine here. It is an older piece of tech. There are newer ones around. The reason I'm recommending this version of it now, that the one I have, is because you can get it so much cheaper than I did when I bought it originally. Brian, I have Time Machine, our backup system, running on my computer. I have, between my two boys in the house and my wife, we all have about 8 devices that I have set up to, 4 Macs that will run Time Machine backups automatically. And then it's the only thing I'm using it for. It's just for the Mac Time Machine backups. I've got several Mac computers that I want to have backed up automatically. Now, Time Machine is great, but it typically involves the fact that you have to plug in an external hard drive to automatically do the backup to your computer. And that just doesn't work for me because I am very mobile with my laptop. Sometimes I'm here in my desk. Sometimes I'm in the other room. Sometimes I'm at the dining table, wherever I feel like working at the time. And I don't like having to carry that box around whenever it's time to run a backup and have to carry it around with me everywhere. And I don't just want to leave it at my desk either. I really don't want to plug anything up. So we use a network storage drive in our house to do this. And what it is I'll give an example of what we have currently. It's on Amazon right now, and I'll show you the price because that's what's kind of appealing right now. So this is the Western Digital MyBook Live. And what it is it is it's called a portable hard drive, although it's really meant for staying kind of in one place. It is kind of set up. It needs its own power supply. It's a fairly large unit, about, that yay tall. Where's my hands? God, right about there. So it's not something I would carry around with me.
For those listening on audio, Alan just did this.
What did I do? About 8 inches tall?
About 8
there
you go. Yeah, sure. That's what we'll call it.
And what it does, it's an external hard drive. This one I've got is a 3 terabyte drive, and you can see right now at Amazon you can get it for about $150, which is pretty good. The difference about this whole thing is that it is a hard drive that has an Ethernet plug in the back. So the idea is that you plug this hard drive up to a network if you have a wired network in your home or wherever you're using it. If it is on your hard line network, then it becomes accessible to anybody on your network. Okay. And so that's what makes it really nice. So if I've got 4 different Mac computers throughout my house that I want to have running Time Machine to back up themselves up, this drive can be set up as a Time Machine source for all those laptops and all those computers simultaneously. So basically, as long as our laptop is in our house connected to our wireless network, it is backing up to this drive automatically for us. Okay. Because it's sitting on our network and it's connected to our Wi-Fi network, and it knows, okay, as long as I'm on the network and I see a Mac that on my network that needs to be backed up, I'm going to back up to this drive. So I know that every time my laptop is in my house, it is getting backed up. Doesn't matter if I've got anything plugged up to it. Doesn't matter what room of the house I'm in. It is getting plugged up to this network drive or backed up to this network drive. And at any time, I can see all 4 computer backups on this drive at one time as well. It's just super nice, super convenient. Yes, the idea that is that your only backup of your computers, and if that one drive were to die, would you not lose everything? We also do an iCloud backup of each of our computers to an iCloud storage as well. So that's kind of our double backup that we've got going on. But it's just nice knowing that instead of having to carry a bunch of external drives and having to cart them around or carry them with us or plug them up to our laptop at inopportune times, we just know that this thing will get us backed up all the time as long as we're sitting on our network at any time. So
nice.
And 3 terabytes of storage on a network drive for $150, I think is a pretty good deal right now. I think I probably paid $300 to $400 for it when I got it originally. But we've had it honestly like 8 or 9 years at least. And it's still sitting in my cabinet. It's still backing up my Time Machine backup on my laptop every single day and every single night. So
And of
It's
course,
great.
for people to know, for Time Machine, it's fantastic in that it is overwriting old stuff when it has. So it's constantly making space for itself. It's not like it's, he's been going that long and it's been running out of space, duplicating everything. It continues to be efficient. So
yeah,
no, that's great. Yeah,
no,
great.
it's great. And plus this drive will do other things too. I mean, I use it for Time Machine. That's pretty much the only thing we use it for. But it is capable of obviously being any kind of storage you want to put on that drive. You can connect to it. You see it on your computer as a connected drive, just like you would an external hard drive. You can copy things to it. You can store things in folders on it. And there's functionality where, since this is connected to your network on a permanent basis, it actually sits there on your network all the time. You can turn on some functionality to where you can access the contents of this hard drive
or something
outside of your network if you chose to.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
yeah. So if I had a folder, I can actually set up a folder on it, and it has a nice online tool. I'll even show you what that looks like. It has a nice online tool to be able to say, to go in and administer the actual drive. And when you do that, you have a lot of options to work with. So this is through a web browser, how you actually connect to your drive. And you have a lot of places where you can create different users for it. If you want to have different people that can log in and use it, you can create SharePoints. And those SharePoints mean that if you open your network up to allow this drive to be visible outside of the network, you could actually access some of those SharePoints and folders outside of your home. Now, I don't have that turned on. I've got everything pretty secure because, again, we're just using it for Time Machine backups in our house. But you do have that capability if you chose to use it. So
nice.
It's nice. And again, the fact that I'm still using it and it still runs, it's a little slower than I'm sure a lot of the newer drives and networks would do. But again, you're going to pay a lot more for those newer ones. So for $150, 3 terabytes of storage on your network. Again, my laptop is 500 gigabytes. So getting a Time Machine backup on it is not a problem with this drive. And the other laptops or devices in this house that get backed up are even smaller hard drives. So again, it can back up all 4 with multiple backup versions on that one drive very, very comfortably. And so I like it. It's just peace of mind. Very easy to work with. So
Alan, when it's backing up, you said it also mounts like a drive. Mm-hmm. Is that something that, with other Macs, that you actually have to eject the drive before you close down? No. Or because it's network, it just forgets
it's technically a network drive. So network drives, you don't have to disconnect or dismount from necessarily.
They'll just connect when they lose connection. Yeah.
Macs just don't like it when you have a physical drive connected to your computer and then you try to unplug it. But no, a network drive kind of just shows up when you're on your network. It shows up on your sidebar as a drive. I can go in, open it up, view the folders, throw anything I want to there. But again, I only use it for Time Machine. That's it. I don't have anything else on it, but it's got 4 machines backed up continuously on there without me having to think about it. And
nice.
It's nice. It's just a convenient way of doing it. So again, that's the Western Digital, or WD they go by now, the Western Digital MyBook Live. Again, you can find it on Amazon as of this moment for about $150 for a 3 terabyte network drive, which I think is a pretty good deal. So there was a little security breach with WD, their MyBook Lives a few months ago. You might have heard about in the news. They recommended everybody unplug their drive for a short period of time from the network and not let it connect until they'd fix the problem. My understanding is that has all been fixed. I was not terribly worried about it. Basically, some users were having all of their data got wiped off of it because of some remote attacks. Not a huge concern for me, although, because I'm just using it for Time Machine backups. I mean, it was not the end of the world if my drive wiped out. It did not. Mine was stayed clean. But again, I don't have any open ports to allow it to be accessed outside of my house. So there was a little bad press on these devices back last June or so, but I still think it's a good device and a good, if you definitely want to use it for backup inside your house, that's the way I would use it. So,
and some would say that after a breach like that is the best time to work with that company because they
that's true.
Locked everything down. And
they kind of had to lock it all down, make it all work. That's right. So. That was the WD MyBook Live, an older device, an older piece of hardware, but you can get for a much better deal now if it sounds like something that might be useful for you.
Cool. All right.
All right, Brian. So bring us home. What you got for
Let's bring it
our
home.
last one?
So,
Here?
okay. So Alan, I'm gonna go back to a discussion you and I had. I think it was probably last year. It maybe even been the last season of our podcast. But you and I both talked about online banking and about how there were different ways in which you could move money around through online means, and we even kind of started talking about the fact that both of us were getting closer to taking a chance, maybe on an online bank to be able to use.
Yep.
Well, I went with it. I took the leap. I took the leap and decided that. Now, I will say I went in the shallow end. I didn't go full into the deep end because I started with an online checking account, checking savings account, while also keeping the one I have at a credit union for now, because I just wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure that I could use it effectively. So, Alan, if you go ahead and share, I decided to go with the company SoFi, which I think you and I may have spoken about briefly before. So SoFi, just for people that don't know, is kind of an all-in-one service where this particular online bank has, as you can see here, ways of doing loans. You probably, if you've ever sought out a personal loan online and did some research on it, you'll know you probably got spam from these folks saying, yes, we do, personal loans. You can invest through us. You can get mortgages through us. You can get credit cards through us. But if you can see over here on the right, the new part is that they have banking. And the banking allows you to have an online checking and savings account. And what's beautiful about this, and I'm going to maybe click over to a different, no, actually I'll go from here. I think it's going to be asking me to try to sign up. I'm not going to log into mine on this, but this was actually pretty simple. I went straight in, signed up online, and immediately got a kind of approval. Sorry, I'm going backwards here. And one of the cool parts is that the savings and the checking both get interest. So just having stuff in your savings will give you interest. Right now, I think I'm getting 0.7%. Okay, you can see here that it says get 1.25 APY. That's once you set up here's the cool part. So SoFi does a really good job of giving you a lot of perks. So one of the perks is that you get on both your checking and savings. I think I'm getting, as I said, 0.7, maybe 0.8, just on having money in there. Okay. But if you set up a direct deposit, so if you have your check direct deposited in and you have that set up, then the money that comes into direct deposit gets 1.25. So the fact that money gets in there on direct deposit, plus I think they're running it right now. I think they're still running it maybe for another month. But I set it up. I joined this, and once you set up your direct deposit, the first direct deposit that comes in, they give you a bonus of I think I'm going to get $300. Like if you get direct deposited more than $5,000 from several of your paychecks or something, they'll give you $300 cash right then. So, you're going to get a bonus of $300 just from setting up and getting your first direct deposit, plus any of the money that's in that direct deposit will start gaining interest. They don't have any fees, right? Not that I can tell, like there's no overdraft fee there. It kind of feeds from one or the other. You can shift money back and forth between the two. Obviously you have an app just like anywhere else can do. I've transferred money already. I've taken money out, ATMs. So they work with all the ATMs that are on that network. I can't remember the name of it, but the most common network of ATMs, where as long as it says it has this particular sign, you can go up. And I've gone to gas stations or whatever, gone to their ATM, pulled money out, and it wasn't a problem. So
Brian, let me just ask, because I know people will be asking questions about the whole concept of online banking.
Yep.
So you still get a debit card for your account to use.
Yes.
Do you get checks? Can you get
you get free checks?
Paper checks.
You get free checks. Yeah, we just got a checkbook in the mail. I think they sent us maybe 20 checks, which is fine. It'll last us forever.
Yeah.
You can still deposit checks. You can deposit checks via camera.
Yep.
Deposit cash. I believe you can deposit cash at some either ATMs or other banks. I think potentially that part I don't know. I haven't looked into enough of.
So depositing cash may be a question mark, just because that's normally something you do. You can do it through an ATM. Some question marks about how compatible that is everywhere.
But between you and I can't remember the last time I deposited cash, because one, I don't have cash very often, and when I do, usually sits over in a corner until we get in that one point where we need cash, which is also very rare. Yeah. So that wasn't a big issue for me.
I have a little side hustle that only pays out in cash, and
and you probably don't want a paper trail anyway, Alan. So it's kind of getting past the paper trail is probably smart.
Okay.
So,
all right.
If I were you.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know. Thanks for the advice on that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, I mean, basically I set this up because we were happy to move along to a different. So what I've decided to do for a while is my wife's paycheck is going to our old bank, and it pays out what we already have as our auto pay, and my paycheck's going into this one, and we're going to try using it for a while. We're using it for any of our other things that we have set up, Venmo and all of that stuff, which is where we tend to pay a lot of our stuff. Also, you can get credit cards through them, which is, they get 3% on most things. I didn't do a credit card. I just did the banking. Now I'll give my evaluation of this. So far, like I said, the banking part's been fine, right? They give you a card. The card came in the mail very quickly, a debit card. And I've been able to pull money from the ATM, no problem, no fees. The app is, to me, a little bit annoying. I still have to dial it in a little bit. It's kind of like, Alan, you and I both recommended Mint a long time ago to kind of manage our money. It allows you to also go in and say, all right, tell us your credit cards. We'll keep track of everything. We'll put everything here. But it's almost like the social media version of an app where it gives you all these recommendations, and you kind of have to swipe away. You have to kind of say, don't show me these anymore. So it does what Mint has started to do too, which is just giving you tons of recommendations, which is fine when you're actually looking for them. But I like to kind of get straight to the point. But yeah, you can invest straight from there. You can, start your investments. It's kind of a one-stop place for financial task. So, they'll do insurance. They're just a big company right now that is funding a lot of things. And I think they're doing some pretty good deals to try to get, the market share coming to them. So it's a good opportunity.
I think, I think it's a little interesting with banking. I mean, I've kind of gone back and forth. We have talked about the idea of online banking, having an online company as our bank instead of the brick and mortar place kind of in our town that we're used to going to. And I do go back and forth. I think if I had the opportunity to switch, I would. I haven't found enough of a reason to push me to do it yet. Again, it's just the upheaval and just the thinking about, making the transitions a lot to process. I guess the only question for me is just, getting more and more comfortable with the idea that if there was a problem, a question, a more immediate need where I need to talk to somebody, I'd be curious how the support is on these kind of online bank services. So.
Yeah. And I think that's the one thing that when I did research on it, there were some people complaining about, customer service. But then I also think, the customer service that I've had at my credit union has not been the greatest in the few times that I've needed it. Right. So I will say what I'm planning to do is I'm not going to get rid of my brick and mortar checking account because it's not costing me any money. And I figure if I get to a point one day where there is a need to maybe deposit a lot of cash, someone pays for something, and like a car, I sell a used car and someone pays me in cash. Okay, you know what? It'd be nice to go to that brick and mortar, make sure it gets in, and then I'll just digitally transfer it, from there to my SoFi account if I want it all to be there, and start gaining more interest than my savings account would be at my other.
Well, I was going to say the interest growing is obviously, that's the draw there. Is that's to know that your money sitting in a checking or savings account could actually earn money. Is great. So,
well, and of course, I probably should have held this back a little bit for people to reach out to me. But they also do a lot of little perks. One of the things, it's a little corny, in that if you're on the app, all of a sudden it starts, doing a little bell at the top that's like, hey, you just earned 15 points because you opened up this tab on your app, and you just earned so many points for opening up this. Oh, and look, your credit score went up, so you just earned 50 more points. Well, it turns out those points are actually cash, so you can redeem those points. So I think from just using the app this last week and a half, I've got $15 of their cash that they're giving me.
Okay.
And then I think, you refer somebody that actually signs up, you get another $25 and they get $50 to start because they were referred. They do lots of little things to allow you to,
they're trying to
gain some free money, right?
Well, they're trying to tip the scale over those people who are like me, who are like, oh, I think I'm interested in online banking, but I don't see enough justification to make the move yet.
Yeah.
Trying to make it as enticing as possible, because it's all about numbers. I mean, if a bank, it doesn't matter if it's a traditional bank or an online bank. I mean, the more deposits you have coming into your system, the better off you are. So, we're definitely going to make those deals.
On that note, I would tell people that if you happen to have money right now in savings, for example, let's say that you've got some money in savings and you're planning on keeping it in savings for a while. Maybe you're saving up for something that may be, several months away. There are a number of online savings accounts right now, high yield savings accounts. This being one of them that says, if you put, it's of course, if you do direct deposit, you will give you $300. Well, I also at the same time set up something else that says, if you give us, put this amount of money in the savings and keep it there for 90 days, we'll give you $400, right? And it's like, well, I was going to do that anyway. And that's a lot more than the interest I would have received on a normal savings account. So if you've got money that you are willing to put it there, banks are kind of fighting for you right now to say, put it here, put say $10,000 here for 90 days and we'll give you this amount. Yeah. Okay, then take it out. Go to the next one that's going to try to, gain you, another few $100s. So if you've got that flexibility, that's kind of what I went with SoFi right now, is like, hey, put some money over there, going to have a direct deposit. If you're going to give me right after a first direct deposit, a few $100s, and there's no commitment for me to stay with you long-term, I don't have a minimum balance. So I've got 2 checking accounts now, 2 different places, and I'll put the money where I feel like it needs to be to gain interest or to, get a bonus. So I think, so far so good. It's not my favorite app. It's not my, there's nothing that screams like wonderful about it, because all I've had to do so far is just pull money out and transfer money to it. Yeah. But it does what it needs to do, and the fact that there's no fees is really nice. Again, they're basically making it so that jump on and it's just no risk, right? You can get some cash out of it, but there's really no risk to it at this point. So,
all right, well, cool. Yeah. Well, that's SoFi, SoFi.com.
Yeah, and that's their checking savings, which is brand new. Yeah, this is the banking is new for them. They've had the credit cards, they've had the loans for a long time. But the banking
is what we're recommending, or Brian's recommending here to check out. So, all right. Well, keep us posted on it too. I think the whole moving to potentially online banks, for your daily banking needs, is going to be a topic we still continue to explore for some time, I think. So, be interesting. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, you know what, Brian? This actually ended up okay. This ended up all right. I think we had 4 pretty good recommendations there. So
obviously over delivered. So that's great.
There you go. Yeah. So that was 4 recommendations we gave, 2 each. You may have some of your own. I mean, maybe there's some software products you're using now that you just really want to brag about and tell people about. Maybe a gadget, maybe a tool, maybe a website you visit that is really helpful and could be helpful for others. We would love to hear some of your suggestions too, and it may make it into one of our future suggestions, or we can help share the love for it as well. So, Brian, what's that contact information to get a hold of us and send stuff to us?
All right. The info at themesh.tv is our email address. As Alan said, let us know either about these products, if you've used them, if you end up losing all your money through SoFi and you'd like us to know before it gets too far along, please do that. Please email me ASAP if that's the case. Or you can go to our website, which is www.brothers-n-tech.com. And
still under development as of the time of this recording, but we'll be working on it soon. So I encourage you. I think you should go to the website. I think you should set a bookmark. And I think you should refresh like every couple hours to see when we've actually made the updates on it. And I think that'd be helpful. Wow. I think that'd be good. Actually, I think you should add our website to the News Explorer app I mentioned on my first recommendation to make sure that you get every single post that we put up there on that site. On your news feed as well.
I think so.
Marketing,
and then, and then save that to your Western Digital, network.
Save it to your external drive
so that you make sure that you have it. Right.
That's right. And when you want to donate to our show, you use the SoFi online banking account.
Right. Yeah. And when you save yourself maybe $30 at that SoFi, you can go buy a little amp for your dumb speaker.
$30.
There you go.
You know what? That's actually interesting. We kept everything relatively cheap today.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I'm actually in the positive. So, I cost you $30, but then I already told you I gained 15. Plus, I'm going to get another $300 shortly when my deposit goes in. I think I'm in the good, man.
That's right. My drive was $100. Mine was $150. I forgot about that.
And then $10 a month, man. So
no, it's not $10 a month for News Explorer.
$10 once. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's one time. Yeah, it's $15 to get it.
So $160 to get both of yours.
$160 and you're out on mine.
Okay,
it's not horrible.
And me, you're making money, but whatever. Yeah.
Could be making money. Could be. Yeah. All right. Good deal. Right. Well, listen, this has been Brothers in Tech. Brian, thanks as always. I'll be checking out a couple of your recommendations. Don't have a need for the amp right now. Thank you for that. It's good to know it's out there. May check out the online banking. We'll see.
Well, if you do, please let me know so I can get the referral fee and you can get some referral cash from me. So
absolutely,
there you go. Yeah, let's make it happen. And anybody else out there in the world, if you want a referral from me, let me know. We'll make this happen. Let's make it happen, right?
For giving referrals
going here, right?
Brian is up for giving referrals to SoFi.com. If anybody wants to take advantage of that, just hit him up.
Get some cash on
you saw the email address, info@themesh.tv. Let them know.
Let us know.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Right, we'll be back again in the next coming weeks with more technology discussions and updates and future recommendations as well. So hope this has been helpful. Hope you found some interesting things out of it. And we will look forward to talking to you next time. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
I always forget to play the closing song. I've got to have that more on-call radio.
All your time learning about what direction we are to each other.
Right, let's do it again. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.